All right, folks, it's here. It's here. We are there now. I'm with Joshua Reed from redpills.tv. Josh, thanks for joining me, man. I talk to you constantly on Nino's Corner.tv where we war game, we volley back and forth, and you always bring some very good, incredible information to the channel. So I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it, Nino. Glad to be here, man.
So
Trying times.
yeah, man. So now here I feel like we're there. We're at this point now where it's we're hitting the climax. Got civil unrest erupting everywhere in America. We've got tensions boiling over. We got Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens kind of saying, the MAGA base is now fractured. We got Iran and Israel, Israel bombing Iran, Iran bombing Israel, and we could expect a terrorist attack here on our soil any given day. Correct?
You are absolutely right. So it's really interesting to watch what's happening. Donald Trump just put out this tweet, this X post or truth post, I think it was, saying that now we control the skies of Iran. He
Yeah.
didn't say Israel controls the skies of Iran. He said we control the skies of
America.
Iran.
Right.
Now, from the beginning, I've said that Donald Trump is in control of Israel. Whatever people want to take from that, Candace Owens, Tucker, they can all just take a seat on this one. I've been doing this research for the last year. I've been breaking this down ever since President Raisi of Iran was killed in the helicopter crash. I've said a regime change operation is
You're on
underway.
the books. You're on the book saying that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, on the book saying this. But we can go back prior to Butler of me saying this. And I said, Trump is working with Israel when he wasn't president, right? When he wasn't president, was working with Israel to undermine Iran and do a regime
So
change.
Israel's doing our dirty work.
Correct. Well, they're doing Trump's dirty work. So,
Trump's dirty
you
work.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, the whole time that, the Biden administration was in place, the question is who was feeding Donald Trump intelligence? Who was giving him this information? Israel. A lot of it was Israel. Now, I know that people are like, well, Israel. Well, listen, we have to understand that the one man that that country will bow to is Donald Trump. And I think that that's really, really important, especially with what's happening right now. Right after Butler, Pennsylvania, if you remember, the Biden DOJ came out and said that there was an active threat on Donald Trump's life from Iran. A week later, Israel decapitated the entire leadership of Hezbollah.
With that being said, hold on one second, folks. OPWEF, get your OPWEF. This is a stock that you can get. I'm going to go through this really fast. In a world focused on paper promises, gold has been a constant truth. It's held its value for thousands of years, and today, with everything shifting, the demand for gold is climbing fast. The BRICS nations are now signaling plans for a basket of gold-backed currencies challenging dominance of the fiat money worldwide. That's why I think OPWEF Explorations is a company that should be on your radar. They're exploring they're exploring for high-grade gold in Quebec's legendary Abitibi Gold Belt, one of the most productive gold regions on Earth. Their properties are surrounded by some of the biggest gold mines in Canada, and right now they're launching a 20,000-meter drill program, a major step in unlocking their potential. With historic gold production in the area and strong infrastructure in place, their position is very promising. And while no one can predict the future, these are the kinds of products that have built real wealth when the timing aligned. If you're someone who believes in the timeless value of gold and sees where the money system is headed, OPWEF and has currently 11 cents. It's 11 cents per share right now. Get over there and buy a share, folks. Not even kidding on that. I'm going to do it myself. I already did do it. All right, Josh. So here we go. I'm going to play a video real quick on where we're
Sure.
at with all this. And it's, there's quite a few stuff coming out. This, it's like, it's finally it's building, it's building to this scare, I believe, a scare event. Do I think this is going to go nuclear? I do not. I think everything's in
I agree.
control. I think Patriots are in control, but I think we're building to this scare event. And, Juan just right now on Nino's Corner.tv was saying this scare event will have people that are not in the know jumping off buildings. Like they're going to be,
Hmm.
it's going to be that terrifying. So that being said, right here, nuclear shared will shift command from SAS to NORAD. This is Tulsi Gabbard.
I recently visited Hiroshima, Japan, and stood at the epicenter of a city that remains scarred by the unimaginable horror caused by a single nuclear bomb dropped in 1945, 80 years ago. It's hard for me to find the words to express what I saw, the stories that I heard, the haunting sadness that still remains.
The timing of this is just perfect, isn't it, Josh?
Right.
The timing of this is just perfect. You can hear it, correct?
Yep.
This is an experience that will stay with me forever. Yet this one bomb that caused so much destruction in Hiroshima was tiny compared to today's nuclear bombs. The bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of just 15 kilotons of TNT, whereas today's nuclear warheads range in size from 100 kilotons to over 1 megaton. A single
That's insanity. That is insanity. They're that much bigger now.
Oh my God. The explosive effects of nuclear weapons these days, dude, they have thermonuclear, which increases with hydrogen. I mean, 1 megaton plus the thermo aspect of the hydrogen is just mind
But
blowing.
could there be a dirty bomb that size in America?
So no, dirty bombs are different. Dirty bombs aren't nuclear warheads. Dirty bombs are regular explosive devices that have basically radiation in them. So they'll have like uranium, plutonium, or something, strontium or cesium or something like that within them. And when they blow up, they spread radiation everywhere.
Okay, but if there was a nuke within our country, would it I mean, could it be one of these enormous size nukes that she's talking about? I mean,
No,
I know anything's possible, but I just don't believe that. Go ahead.
no. So tactical nukes are much more smaller and strategic. Anything that you've heard of, like a suitcase bomb or something
Right.
like that, highly improbable with nuclear weapons. But those would be very, very low yield nuclear weapons. So in context to a city, right, a suitcase nuclear sized weapon would take out a city block,
Got you.
whereas a 1 megaton would take out the entire New York City.
Got it.
single nuclear weapon today could kill millions in just minutes. Just one of these nuclear bombs would vaporize everything at its core. This is the reality of what's at stake, what we are facing now. Because as we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. We must reject this path to nuclear war and work toward a world where no one has to live in fear.
So this is the right time, right? All of this is the right timing, in my opinion. Don't you agree with me, Josh? It's like it's the buildup is here. The civil unrest on the streets, the civil chaos, all of this is happening. You know, Juan's talked about this going to 14 cities. It looks like it's already happening, the Democratic hellholes. But now we also have the nuclear threat, and they're really pushing this. Do you think this is all engineered?
So I think that the timing is definitely sequenced. The timing is definitely right for all of this. Tulsi releasing that right now was strategic with Trump and 5D chess. Although what we're watching right now unfold, I think, has been years in planning. Now, when we start talking about what's going to happen in the United States of America, we talked about this last week on Nino's Corner. We were talking about the firestorm. We're talking about how over the border we've seen millions of people come, Hezbollah, Unit 910, Al Qaeda, ISIS, all different types of groups of radicalized terrorism. The question that I asked last night on X was, why haven't we seen any of these radical groups that have loyalties to Iran do anything? Why isn't Hamas or the Houthis, bombarding Israel with missile attacks or invading Israel? Why aren't sleeper cells being activated? And I think that that's a really important viewpoint, because what it shows is that Iran might be weakened, but they're not done. And they're not even close
No,
to
they got a
being
lot of
done.
fight in them. They got
That's right.
a lot of fight in them.
And this is the key point that I think that everybody needs to understand, and why Donald Trump came back from G7, had the National Security Council meeting. Nino, I've said it before, and I don't want to be like the other people who say it and then they don't really have it. I was in the military for 10 years. I have friends who are currently serving in the military. I got contacts in the Pentagon. I got contacts in Congress, White House, in various intelligence agencies. I have friends around the country who keep me well informed. What we are dealing with right now is this situation. There is a potential nuclear event between Iran and Israel. There is U.S. intelligence right now active that this event could happen. Here's the key why. Israel typically has 7 days of fight in them against a country like Iran. They can't last more than 7 days. What that means is that Iran has just been kind of doing tit for tat missile barrages. Every time Israel does something, Iran does something back. But they haven't really done a full frontal assault on Israel. And the reason is because Iran understands this from a military strategic point of view, that all they have to do is wait it out. As long as the United States does not get involved, they can wait it out. And then they're going to completely annihilate Israel without the utilization of nuclear weapons.
So they're taking him into the later rounds. As a boxer, that's how I would understand it. They're going to wait and draw this fight out a little bit, let Israel blow their load, and then take him down, start taking him down in the mid part of the round, in the middle of the fight, into the late part of the fight.
Spot on correct.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
here's the
that's
thing
how
with
I
Israel.
understand it.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Israel. Israel has to go for the kill shot. Israel has to go for the knockout because they know they can't last 12 rounds, 13
Okay, so let
rounds.
me ask you this. Juan on Nino's Corner.tv said they were weeks, if not days, away from accomplishing the nuclear bomb. Iran was. That's why Israel had to go now. Any truth to that? That you know of?
So
On that.
he's right, but he's wrong. So 2005, Iran successfully produced fission. Okay, 2005.
That's enriching uranium?
That is producing a fission reaction with
Okay.
uranium. 2012, we had pallets of cash that went over there around the billions of dollars. Previous to this, we had Uranium One scandal here in the United States, where Uranium One, a Canadian company, had stock of that company bought out by Rosatom, which is a Russian nuclear provider, taking foundation from Russia, and she was selling U.S. uranium to Uranium One. Okay, that uranium was going to Russia. From Russia, it was going to Iran. Okay, so Iran has had nuclear grade uranium since 2012. Okay, now Iran has done successful nuclear tests. We know this. We can see this in northern Syria and various different Chinese and Iranian complexes where they were producing nuclear fission material and producing testing of these nuclear weapons. This is where, if you remember, during the Trump administration, we were having those 2.3, 2.2 earthquakes about a mile or 2 miles underground in northern Syria. That's what that was. We can tell this from the radioactive isotopes, so forth. This isn't being posted anywhere else because, well, they don't want people to know that Iran has a nuclear weapon because that's kind of scary stuff. The key here of what Iran was doing is they already have a nuclear weapon. They were developing a delivery system. So if you go back a few weeks, a port in Iran had a massive explosion in it. Container on those shipping containers blew up. Inside of that was ammonium perchlorate as well as other ballistic missile parts. They're saying it was an accident, but no, that was an Israeli Mossad strike deep inside Iran. Why? Because those parts came from China. Those were ballistic missile parts in order to weaponize a nuclear warhead. This is why Israel and Trump moved in now, because Iran has the bomb, but if they're going to do anything with it, they got to walk it there. They got to drive it there. And that's just not plausible.
So
they want to be able to launch it.
It's the
delivery
system they're
system
trying to acquire.
That's right.
Why
And the
couldn't they
delivery.
just get it from Russia or China? I mean, that seems like a simple thing. I think the enriching the uranium part seems like the hard part to me, getting the nuclear bomb. But the delivery system, I mean, why couldn't they just buy it off China or Russia? I don't understand that part.
So I think that there's a part of it that there's international components that watch these things like hawks. Now, if China just gives Iran the nuclear weapon and Iran goes and bombs Israel, well, China now is liable on an international scale. Same thing with Russia. So there's aspects of that that will help you do it, but we're not going to give it to you. And so, the nuclear delivery system, which would be utilized for something like this, is not like a traditional ballistic missile, right? I mean, you put it on the back of a traditional ballistic missile, it's going to go up, it comes down, and what happens when it doesn't go boom?
Yeah.
Right? So you need things where they need to be. So Iran was a few days away from actually producing the delivery system to be successful within this. And then there's this.
I'm going to go ahead and play this. All right, folks, pay attention.
Citizens of America and others across the globe. This is the architect speaking on behalf of Anonymous. 17 days remain until we release everything. But first, there's something we feel the need to bring to light now. It may not be able to wait. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is a warning based on extremely reliable intelligence. We have acquired verified information that a major attack is being planned on domestic soil.
And obviously they're talking about America. This is scary stuff.
Well, it is. And this is what I want to show is, Nino, yesterday, Netanyahu came out and said, if the world doesn't do something right now, it means that New York, yes, he said New York. And this was interesting because this goes back to the 7-day part that I was just talking about. Well, did you see what the IDF just released last night?
What's that?
They released this video saying that the whole world is going to die if the world doesn't do something and intervene. Now, interesting enough, it starts mentioning cities in there that are going to be destroyed by Iran if the world doesn't stand up now.
Do you remember the cities?
I do, and guess what? They're the same cities on the Samson option.
And what are those?
So obviously every major city in the Western nation, London, Washington, D.C., New York, California, so I can play the video if you want.
Even if London gets hit and other countries get hit with a nuclear bomb, the fallback on that will affect the entire world. So it's not just America. A lot of people need to get this out of their head that, as long as we just protect America. No, the whole world is at jeopardy here.
The whole world is at jeopardy here. But here's the key, is I don't think that they're at jeopardy from Iran. So Iran is in the midst of...
We know what it is. We know exactly what it is. It's a 3-letter agencies that we can go into, correct? But that would go on the back channel.
Well, and this is your 3-letter agency right here in the broadcast that we're showing with Anonymous. That's your 3-letter agency sitting here warning you.
All right.
And that's warning you because they know what's going to happen. They're projecting the narrative out there. They're trying to draw Donald Trump into a larger world war, but it's not going to happen. Now, there's scenarios which could cause it to happen. And if the Trump administration does nothing at this point, then we are going to see Israel utilize a tactical nuke to take out Iranian nuclear facilities, because that's the only methodology that Israel has to actually take out Iranian nuclear facilities. Wow. They don't have bunker busters. They don't have the correct munitions or the capabilities to take them out any other way, which this is what I meant. The U.S. intelligence has good intel that a nuclear event is possible. So Iran knows this and Israel knows this.
And this is not to mention other events that could happen, like mass shootings or tactical or bombs, just, separate from a nuclear device. I mean, all kinds of things could happen here. Now, Cliff High has a software that he's talked about on his program where it reads attention and release internet chatter, and he talks about an illumination of 9. If 9/11 was a 1, there's an illumination of a 9 coming, an event coming that's a 9 that'll make 9/11 look like a walk in the park. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with Cliff High's work?
I'm not. I know Cliff, but I'm not familiar too much with his work. I don't. There's only a few other podcasters and influencers I listen to.
What's that?
Yeah. There's only a few other people I listen to. It's just very 2 or 3.
No, I got you.
And they will be blamed on a foreign faction or capabilities. But it's alarm. The operation is a false flag, orchestrated not by a foreign enemy, but by an elite shadow alliance within a nation that poses as our greatest ally, but instead is a
Are you talking about Israel?
Mm-hmm.
Militarized power with deep influence through sexual blackmail in our intelligence, government, and media sectors. Critical to drag us into their war under the guise of retaliation. But the real motive is injustice. It's control, resources, power, and a goal they can only achieve by using us as their puppets. They know that once blood is spilled here, the public will beg for retribution. They're counting on your fear.
So they're saying this event's going to happen first, and then that'll drag us into World War III, correct?
Correct. And what they're trying to set up is that a terrorist attack will happen in the United States that will be devastating, worse than 9/11. It'll be blamed on Iran. It'll draw us into war with Iran, which then will instigate other regional powers in the area, like Pakistan, to enter into warfare. If Pakistan enters, India is going to enter. If India enters, China is going to enter. And then we get to see the cascade that occurs from there.
Is it me, or is this guy sitting next to a toolbox in his garage?
He's sitting there. I don't think this is anonymous. I think that this is probably like, some MAGA influencer who put on a MAGA mask that is just repeating what everybody's biggest fears are.
And not that we shouldn't listen, but I'm just saying it kind of looks very generic to me, but I'll keep it playing.
They're counting on your outrage, but now you know. And knowing changes everything. This is not just about geopolitics. This is about the manipulation of a population through violence, fear, and engineered narrative. In the next few days, weeks, or months, this will happen. It's a game.
So how close do you think we are from this happening? Moments, it seems to me. I mean, we're there. We are in a critical situation, correct?
Right. But this is what I want people to see. It all depends on what happens next. The next 24 to 48 hours are so critical. So if we can understand that Israel only has 5 days left of fight in them before they start to break down militarily, this means that they are going to take extreme options to take out the Fordo or Natanz and Arnak various nuclear power plants or nuclear stations in Iran. Now, the only way they can do that is with tactical nukes. Trump knows this. This is why I believe Trump came back last night, because the U.S. is prepping for precision strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. All right? I'm telling you, this is most likely what the scenario is. So the last 2 days, what did we have? We had multiple EAM messages. The longest EAM messages ever put out. That's emergency action messages. This is done through the U.S. Air Force. This is nuclear coordination that is occurring. Well, why are we moving our nuclear subs and missiles, putting on readiness? Why are we changing DEFCON levels? Because we're about to enter into this fight. But there's a key here. Trump is going to strategically hit these 3 positions in Iran. Just a few bunker busters, take out the facilities, it's over. Well, guess what happens after this? After this, Iran is basically decimated by this point. Their nuclear program is done. Now they most likely will come to the table. You might have regional conflicts that rise up in the area, but Israel's assault is done. Now, if we allow this to play out and Israel goes out and uses a tactical nuke on these facilities, Pakistan's immediately going to retaliate against Israel and nuke Israel. If Pakistan does that, India is going to get involved. If India gets involved, China gets involved. That's where it cascades into a full-out world war, which means that Trump is saving the world from nuclear war by strategically striking Iran. And I know that sounds so weird.
No, it doesn't to me. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to play this video here, which is talking about Operation Grim Beeper. Are you familiar with that, Josh?
Right. Yes. This is the Israeli ambassador.
Correct. So
we pulled off a number of surprises. When the dust settles, you're going to see some surprises on Thursday night and Friday that will make the beeper operation almost seem simple.
So the beeper operation almost seems simple. If folks that don't know, this is the operation he is referring to when he says it was almost make the Operation Beeper look simple. Operation Grim Beeper refers to a series of coordinated explosions targeting handheld pagers and walkie-talkies used by Hezbollah members in Lebanon and Syria in September of 2024. The attack attributed to Israel resulted in numerous casualties and injuries, with some reports indicating a significant number of Hezbollah fighters were incapacitated. The operation is notable for its reliance on exploiting Hezbollah's own communication choices, as the organization had recently switched to pagers due to security concerns about their cell phone network. So he's saying that operation, what's coming in the days ahead, is going to make that operation look simple.
Yep. So I'm going to tell you what I believe this is all about. So the pager operation was incredibly strategic, but it didn't take 4 or 5 years in the making. This was literally about 6 months in the making and how they did this. Okay, they didn't use explosives inside pagers. That's nonsense. What they utilized was cell phone networks, 5G cell phone networks, to actually produce the explosion by overloading the lithium batteries within the pagers. Now, what did that produce? That produced explosions, and people went to the hospitals, and people started communicating back to the headquarters of Hezbollah. And once that happened, Israel was monitoring all that traffic, and they found the location of all of these top level people in Hezbollah, and then they surgically struck. This is what I think is going to happen. Well, here's the key. Iran is under the midst of a regime change. You have to take out Khomeini, the Ayatollah, and you have to take out the mullahs. The next thing that we're about to see is that strike. They're going to take out the upper echelon chain of command of Iran. And it's going to be an attack just like very similar, but they're going to utilize something as a distraction, which is going to give out their location, and then it's going to be a surgical strike. Boom. They're all going to be done.
You see the Iranian people on the streets celebrating that this regime is being taken down. I mean, obviously, they're celebrating, Josh. I mean, they're out there on the streets celebrating, partying. They're happy about this. Why shouldn't we be happy? I mean,
well, great question. And you got to remember is optics and perception. A lot of what we are seeing is westernized propaganda. So I would say that Iran is very similar to the United States. It's Democrats and Republicans. It's 50-50, 60-40, somewhere around there. Not everybody in Iran wants the regime change, right? Not all the people are joyously celebrating, but there is a lot of them. And I do agree that, it's time for that radical theocracy to change in that area. And that's what Trump's trying to bring about. So we're about to see it. I mean, there is no end of this whole conflict without the Iran regime actually changing. But the kicker is that because of everything that has happened, Netanyahu is going to be forced out, which means that we're going to see a regime change in Israel as well.
Right. Israel safe for life.
Yep, Israel safe for last, and we will see a regime change in Israel.
I agree with you. Well, let's go back to Nino's Corner.tv, talk about this further. I really want to war game the attacks that we could see on the soil. Are you up for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. See you at Nino's Corner.tv, folks. Thanks, Josh.